everybody. I'm Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Welcome to another episode of VO Buzz Weekly.
That's right. And man, we have an awesome show for you guys today. We have Marc Cashman, and he's got some really great stuff to share with you. All right, Stacey?
Yes, he does. Like, how about the 8 fundamental skills that every voice actor needs to have?
Wow.
Pretty strong. He's got so much to talk about, so we're going to go there right now.
Let's go.
Okay, our guest has been working on both sides of the glass for more than 25 years. With his company, Cashman Commercials, he is an award-winning commercial writer, casting director, and producer. He is also an award-winning and versatile voice actor, dynamic public speaker, and respected teacher. We are so happy he's here. We have so much to talk about, so let's start getting buzzed with the phenomenal Marc Cashman. Hi, Marc.
My friend, Marc Cashman. This guy is the coolest guy in Hollywood.
He is.
For sure. There's no doubt.
He is. Look at him.
He won't even talk. He's speechless right now.
I am.
How are you, man?
I'm
Thank you
good.
for coming down and sharing with us and with sharing with everybody out there, because I know that you're going to have some good stuff for them. You guys got a big treat coming up.
Yeah. People have been waiting.
Right?
Like, you've definitely been on the when is Marc going to be on the show request list. So
that's nice. I'm in good company because you've had some great guests.
Yes. Well, we wanted to wait till we had the new mugs and the whole look. We wanted
Yeah,
it to be
you know,
just right
because we
for
wanted
you.
to impress you, because we know that you're hard to impress.
Let's get that product placement right here.
I'm going to get right to it, man. You've had an insane career, and you do a lot of things. You know, started out
Still going
producing
strong.
commercials, still doing that, and now you're a coach and you're doing demos and all that stuff. So, but how did you, as a voice actor, how did you get started in the business?
Sideways. I started out as a writer-producer and casting director, and as I cast people, and we had these, and clients would come in also.
Right.
And I was doing projects, they would say, well, why don't you voice it? And I would say, oh, no. There's so many better voice actors out there. And they said, no, you're perfect. So that's how I started getting into it. And then as soon as I realized that I was going to be doing more of it, I started, learning as much as I could. And I joined a workout group. And it met once a week for 6 years.
Once a week for 6 years.
Yes.
Gives new meaning to that 6-week class.
Absolutely, once a week for 6 years. Now, this is a workout group, so it was really nice. It was a bunch of talented, very talented voice actors who invited me in, just off the boat, but they invited me in, and it was a workout group. So we would take a studio, we would rent a studio for 3 hours once a week, one night, and all chip in and work out. We would direct each other, we'd bring in scripts, and just keep our chops up.
But obviously, you were coming at it from the writing angle, so you're writing this commercial copy.
Yes, I was writing and producing and casting.
Right,
but
so that you had a whole skill set. I mean, you knew more than most people do.
Yeah.
You were just switching the side of the glass.
Well, yeah, basically, again, I was just taking off my writer-producer hat and putting on my actor hat and learning from them. That's the most important thing, is that these were veteran voice actors, and I just soaked in everything. I just soaked it all in. In the beginning, I didn't do a lot of getting behind the mic. I just wanted to listen.
Yeah.
And when you listen, when you really listen, many times you learn more than by doing.
Absolutely.
So after listening for a little while, then I finally got behind the mic and I started getting more comfortable and more confident. But it took a while. It took a while.
6 years.
Well,
right? That's a 6-year class.
well, I would like to think it took sooner than that, but that I just enjoyed it and stayed there.
It's
So,
the undergrad and the graduate degree.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's
wow,
exactly.
you don't have to do that. You can do it much faster
That's
than
right.
that
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
Now you've condensed it down to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, no. Truthfully, no. 6 weeks would be, technically one course.
Right.
People say, well, after this 6-week course, can I go make a demo? And I say, well, it's kind of like going to school.
Yeah.
All because you graduate first grade doesn't mean that you're going on to college.
Right.
Okay.
True.
So,
That's a very good
so
analogy,
you've
yeah.
got to go. You just got to learn. You have to learn. Now, is the learning curve shorter than, let's say, on camera? Overall, yes. But I always say the best actors never stop learning. And I certainly don't stop learning. I always want to try to learn. I find it great when I can learn one new thing every day. Every single day. If I can learn one new thing, I'm happy. That means I've learned 365 things at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now that's not possible, but
Yeah.
if I can learn something new every day,
Yeah. And plus today the way the business is moving rather quickly, so there is something new to learn every day.
oh yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah.
about. So yeah,
Absolutely.
very, very cool.
Plus,
man.
when you go around, the one thing that I love to do is hear some of my peers, my colleagues, when they're teaching and they're making points and things like that. I sit there like a student. I just soak it all up and soak it in. Yeah, some of the stuff I know already, but sometimes, man, some of these people just come up with some brilliant ways of looking at voiceover, treating voiceover, working voiceover, and the business itself. It's not just the talent, it's the business.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a business. What was the first job that you can remember that you were really, really excited about?
Oh my gosh.
Like when you were like, oh my God, I can't believe.
I did a national spot for Charles Schwab.
National spots are very exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
We like national spots.
And they and I did their, I guess, you want to call it their jingle, but it was really a theme song. But basically, it was on all their spots on radio and TV and everything for the whole year, and it was a huge budget. And the people from San Francisco corporate offices came down to L.A. in the studios, and it was pretty.
That's cool, man.
It was, yeah.
You
We
had
laid
arrived.
out a whole spread for them. And,
Yeah.
And that was my first really big.
That's awesome. I love
Thing.
Charles Schwab because you know what their slogan is now? Talk to me.
Talk to me.
Talk to Chuck.
Talk to Chuck. Yes.
Talk to
yeah,
Chuck.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh gosh. Just really quickly, I've known Marc now for like a gazillion years, and like long time ago. You guys aren't here right now, but this is World Digital Studios, Demos that Rock. This is where I do my stuff, and then it converts into
Yes.
VO Buzz Weekly when people like him come in here. But Marc and I were working on commercials. A couple of commercials like years ago, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
Right here in
20
this
years
room.
ago.
You know, there were no computers. Well, no, there were computers. They just weren't as advanced as they are today.
Yeah.
And we were recording on digital tape and mastering things down to DAT tape.
The closest thing to computers was a word processor.
A word
It was really-
processor.
That's the closest thing to it. That's how old we are.
Yeah, definitely no email.
It's how wise you are. Experience.
AOL, You Got Mail was still not around. People were still cutting tape.
No.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
but man, am I glad those days are gone. But that was, I look at it now as
We
like
did
a
magic.
magical time.
We did
Yeah.
magic. We really turned a sow's ear into a silk purse.
Absolutely. And now with the tools that we have today and that you have today,
Yeah.
I mean, there's just really no excuse for not doing what you want to do today.
No.
It's right there at your
Yeah.
fingertips.
No, it's amazing. And I mean, you can download software, recording software for free. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just that
Well,
alone.
how
Yeah.
to celebrate? I mean, that you guys you're both still here, and look what you're doing.
Yeah.
Put it there,
Right?
buddy.
Yeah, we're both still here 20 years
I love
later.
it.
We're
Man,
doing it.
Oh man.
I love it. But I mean, you have obviously seen so many cycles in the business, and you've had to keep continuing to grow and learn and
Yeah.
evolve.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I mean, was it really hard, especially when everything went so digital and the pace of it all?
No,
Or was it-
quite the contrary. When everything went digital, things actually got a lot easier. I was able to do more, I was able to produce more, I was able to keep track of things more. And I don't know, the thing is, after producing for X number of years, people kept asking me, when are you going to teach? When are you going to teach? When are you going to actually write a book and teach and
Right.
do that? And I was thinking, well, there are people out there who teach. What am I going to add?
Right.
Possibly. What can I possibly add there? I remember looking in the voiceover resource guide, which has been around also a long time,
Yeah.
and I looked at the list of teachers and coaches in Los Angeles.
There were
more
2.
coaches.
No, I'm just kidding.
More coaches in Los Angeles than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Because Los Angeles is not the center of the voiceover universe in the country. It's the center of the voiceover universe in the world.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, New York. I know you got a lot of stuff going on there, but LA is where it's at. Everybody comes to LA. Everybody wants to come to LA. There's more happening in LA than any other city in the world.
Yeah,
bar
on a
none.
daily basis.
But don't come
Absolutely.
here. Stay there because we don't want any more challenges.
But you don't have to come here. That's the other thing. You
Now
don't have
he's
to live
giving
in
you
LA.
tricks.
You don't have to live in LA anymore to do this.
Yeah.
You can get an agent, not only in LA but in different cities as well.
Right.
And more agents they just want talent.
Yeah.
They don't, now, yes, there are certain things that you do need to live here for.
Right.
If you're doing on camera, if you're doing, let's
Animation.
say, animation
Yeah.
for Disney,
Yeah,
things like that,
exactly.
and the other places. But I know a lot of people who have LA representation who don't
Yep,
live in LA.
absolutely.
And they're perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
Let me answer the question that you asked before.
Mm-hmm.
Did digital make things harder? Digital made things wonderfully easier.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderfully easier. Things were faster.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to hear things better. We were able to access things a lot better. Editing, just
Oh my
editing
goodness.
alone was absolutely
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
But then, as I said, I picked up the voiceover resource guide, saw more teachers in LA than anywhere else before, and I figured, no, there are enough teachers here. But one day, about 12 years ago, one of the teachers called me and said, "Hey, listen, I have to go out of the country. Could you take over my classes for a few months?" I figured, what the heck? I'd try it. And it'd give me, at least I'd see what it was all about.
You couldn't get in trouble because you were a substitute.
That's right. I was a substitute
Substitutes never get in
teacher.
trouble.
That's right. That any fault was theirs.
You get
Exactly.
what you pay for, baby.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So after 3 months, I realized, hey, I do have something to offer. And that was probably going back to in my previous life, I was a teacher in public school. I got my master's in education. So I've always been a teacher. I've always known how to teach. And when I started this, when I was substituting for this class, there were a whole bunch of people, way too many, all different levels. That was crazy. And
It's like public school.
yes.
Yeah.
And only a couple of hours to do it in.
Yeah.
So you do the math, hardly anybody had any time behind the mic. So I realized, okay, this needs to be structured better. We need to make sure that everybody's on the same level playing field, beginners, intermediates, advanced, working pros, so that, because it's not fair to advanced people to have beginners and vice versa.
Right.
You just want it. And again, coming from education and seeing basically how levels go, it just made sense to do that.
Perfect.
And that's why I came up with the report card too.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we want to
We're
talk
gonna
about the
talk
report
about
card. Well, first I want to go and you are going to be, along with other VO Buzz Weekly alumni, Pat Fraley, Nancy Wolfson, you're going to be at the VO 2013 Atlanta.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. I mean, we saw you at Voice 2012.
Yes.
James and Penny, you're going to be at VO 2013 as well.
That was great.
So we have a little promo that we want to tee up here.
Oh, this is a promo or
This is your
commercial that you
little-
created
Oh,
for,
yes.
right?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
wanna-
And the audio is so cool. We listened to it
It
today.
is.
You
It
guys
is.
got to check it out. We're going to play it for you.
Do you want to
okay?
say anything about it before they hear
Oh,
it?
no. It's just a teaser for VO 2013 Atlanta, which is going to be March 21st to 24th. And some of the top coaches in the country are going to be there. As you said, Pat Fraley, Nancy Wolfson, myself, Jim Alburger, Penny Abshire,
Joan
Gabrielle
Baker.
Nistico, Joan Baker,
Marc Cashman.
whole bunches of...
Rudy
I mean, just
Gaskins, yeah.
Rudy, yes,
Cashman.
absolutely. Great, just terrific, talented, amazingly prolific
Yeah.
people.
Atlanta will never be the same.
No?
It won't. Check this out.
Let's
Check it out.
listen.
It was a rainy afternoon when she entered my office. I could see by the look in her eyes she was desperate to find a good voice acting coach. "I need to find a good voice acting coach," she said, looking through the rain-streaked window at the city lights. "Here's a name for you. Marc Cashman." "Marc Cashman?" "Marc Cashman. So good he coaches other VO coaches." "Thanks, but I want to know who else is out there." "Your timing's good. Check out VO 2013 Atlanta." "VO 2013 Atlanta, March 21st to the 24th. "I like Atlanta. Who's on the marquee?" "Only the industry's top VO talent coaches and producers." "I like producers." "Pat Fraley, James Alburger, Penny Abshire, Julie Williams, Joan Baker." "I like Joan Baker." "Nancy Wolfson, Rudy Gaskins, Gabrielle Nistico, and of course, Marc Cashman." "So I can sharpen my voiceover skills." "Yep. Build my business. Keep going. And connect with voice actors from all over the country." "That's the ticket. I like connecting." Well, she read my lips and headed out my door. I'm sure she'll love VO 2013 Atlanta. I know I will.
Was that all you?
That was all me.
That was all you.
That
so
was
you
all
were
me.
the other guy too.
That was all me. I was
awesome.
I was the
He was
guy and I was the girl.
Yes.
Great stuff.
I like how you say, Marc Cashman. I like how you said the name Marc Cashman.
I know. I'm sorry. You got to laugh at yourself.
I
Because
know. It's great.
You know,
It's great.
I have a question for you, man. One of the major trends out there in commercial is keeping it real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And conversational. Why do you think that's such a hard thing for actors to do?
Oh, that's the hardest thing for actors to do is when they say real person. Well, trained actors, obviously, you know, to do it. It's funny. I always try to remind my students that if you ever see that thing for real, you just have to flatten everything out.
Yeah.
You just have to absolutely flatten everything out. I love, probably the best example of real to me was a spot that I heard a long time ago for Gold Bond medicated powder. And they had this woman, she sounded like she just fell off a hay truck, and she just says, Gold Bond worked for me. That's it. Gold Bond worked for me. Just very flat, Gold Bond worked for me. And I thought, that only a real person could come up with
Can't
that.
overthink that.
You can't act that.
Which is great.
Although you just did. But
but that was only because I heard a real person
Right,
doing
right.
it. Again, they're not theatrical, and half the time they're a little nervous. You do man on the street interview, you thrust a microphone in front of somebody, what are they going to do? They're going to back off, most of them. Oh yeah, occasionally someone's going to say, give me that mic, you know, and grab it. But most of the time, they're nervous, they back off, and so they're not inflecting, they're not confident, they're just talking, and they're not even thinking.
Yeah.
And that's just it. The thing is, actors, you know, we've been inculcated for years to emote and to lift the product name and billboard things and punch things and emphasize things, and we have to do that, but it's got to be a lot more subtle.
Exactly.
A lot more subtle.
Well,
because
there's also the debate of if it's a radio spot versus a commercial spot. If it has
you mean
visual
TV?
image, TV.
Radio, TV.
Yeah, TV.
Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And I have a
visual
theory about
images.
that. I have a theory
Let's
about
hear
that.
your theory.
Well, it's pretty simple. With radio, you have to work harder because you don't have visuals
Right.
to support. So you just have to compensate for the fact that you don't have visuals. With TV, you can be much more nuanced and much more subtle because you see the image on screen.
Right.
Even the name of the product is burned onto the thing, so you hardly have to even billboard it because it's right there.
Right.
You can just mention it, but it's there. So you got support there. Radio, you got to work twice as hard.
Yeah.
No
But
visuals.
you still have to pronounce it right?
Well, if you want to get paid.
Like you can't say
If you want to get paid, pronounce the name of the product right.
You can't say Charles Schwade.
No, that wouldn't.
It's still you have to say Schwab.
No.
Okay.
Now,
Okay. Just check.
you can say Charles Duran.
Yeah,
Hey,
but-
then
exactly.
that'd be a whole
But that's
different
just
Exactly.
that's how you spell my name on the check.
Exactly. That's CH.
Oh.
I love to brag about people that are great.
Oh.
Now, in 2008, 2011, and 2012, you were named one of the best voices of the year by Audiophile Magazine.
That was nice of them.
Pretty impressive.
Hold for applause.
That was very
Okay.
nice of them.
What does that mean to you? What is that like for you? I mean,
I guess really all that means to me is that I'm recognized for my work is really what it comes down to. But it's gratifying to me because of the people who I'm listed with. You know, it's like being an Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
I if you're a nominee, that means you're one of the top 5 best, whatever. So I'm very happy about that. That just shows that at least I'm putting out quality work as an actor, which is nice. Getting the recognition as an actor, because overall you don't get much recognition as a voice actor. On camera, yes. There are very few awards for voiceover.
right.
Yes, the
right.
Clio's has
The Annies.
they've got an award there, but for the most part, voice actors don't get awards, and so that was really nice.
They get money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Well, I mean,
that's
it
true.
is-
That's an award.
Yeah.
That is true.
I mean, but technology is helping put faces to voices, you know.
Yes,
Shows like
absolutely.
ours and,
Yeah.
you know, the internet and YouTube and all that. So, but it definitely still has that anonymity to it, which is kind of strange when you think about the incredible talents
Yes.
that are in the business. And
Yeah,
they're
but
unknown.
voiceover has always been anonymous. It's the anonymous side of show
Yeah.
business. But the one thing about the audiophile thing is audiobooks. That particular thing was really just getting off the ground when you and I met.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And now it's exploded. In fact, it's one
You
of
have
the...
what, more than 100 audiobooks?
I have over 100 books under my belt. But the industry itself has really burgeoned. And it's really one of the fastest growing areas of voiceover and one of the fastest growing areas of publishing as well. It's just terrific. And the irony is that it's the most challenging thing you can ever do in voice acting, and yet it pays less than anything in voice acting.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the irony, which is, it's kind of sad. But the one thing that audiobooks has going for them that no other medium has is what I call the legacy effect. In other words, when you do an audiobook, that book goes into the Library of Congress. That's on a CD for your ancestors, not your ancestors, all your descendants, to listen to and to hear. Everything else, commercials and narration and e-learning and trailers and promos, they're like tissues. You use them, you throw them away. But audiobooks are the only thing that remain permanent in the public record, Library of Congress.
Wow.
Yeah, not bad.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I'd rather be in the Library of Congress than in Congress.
I agree. And by the way, if you've never been to the Library of Congress, when you go to Washington, D.C., make it a point to go there. It's one of the most beautiful buildings in the whole city.
Wow.
You'll come in and your mouth will be, oh my God.
Just beautiful.
So
You feel smarter when you come out of there.
That's
I
really
think so.
cool.
What do you like about the process of doing audiobooks?
Because you said it's the hardest.
It's the hardest. I think it's the challenge.
I was just going to think that.
It's really the challenge. If you are doing nonfiction, you don't have to worry about characterization. You don't have to worry about characters per se. I always remind my students that if a 30-second spot is like a 50-yard dash and a 60-second spot is like a 100-yard dash, an audiobook is like a 26K marathon. So you have to have the stamina to keep it going. So it's like working out. It's very difficult, but when you're done, you feel good. And it's the same thing with an audiobook. It's very difficult. You've got to keep it going. You've got to have great stamina, and of course, all the other things that go along with it. But when you're done, you feel good.
Huge
You feel good. It's a huge accomplishment. And again, it's to me, it's a great challenge. The other thing is, talk about learning something new every day. I learn something new every time I read an audiobook. Either a word that I've never heard. I say, oh my God, I've never heard that word before. Or a fact about something or someone that I never knew before. And I say, holy moly, that's pretty cool. So I'm always learning something. Whenever I'm doing audiobooks, I always learn something
Do you
new.
have a favorite word that stuck with you? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I don't have a favorite word.
You can't say
but
those on VO Buzz Weekly.
but I can say, and I know that my colleagues will nod their head in agreement when they hear this. There's not one time when I'm doing an audiobook that there isn't one phrase that I can't quite get out.
Yes.
And if your ears were on the other side of the door in the studio, you'd be hearing some major cursing going on. And there's always one. There's always one word or one phrase that you say, gosh.
Well, no, and then you can see it coming, so that it's like your brain's going like, don't mess it up, don't mess it up.
I know.
I know. That's funny.
Do you record most of your stuff at home?
No, I would say the majority of the stuff I'll do in what I call off-site studios.
Okay.
So Random House Studios, Books on Tape in Woodland Hills, Dion Audio in Sherman Oaks. I'm probably forgetting a couple of other places, but most of the books I do off-site where I have a director, which is wonderful.
That's nice, and then you can just focus on the performance.
That's exactly it. Focus on the performance. But I do that even in my own home studio. A number of people do punch and roll, punch record. And I envy them, truthfully, because they have that perfect synthesis of left brain, right brain. And they're able to perform, and they're able to manipulate the keyboard and everything else like that. I tried that once. I will never do it
We
again.
won't be playing that file.
Yeah, you
will
gotta
we?
hit.
No.
Yeah, you are more record and forget it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. In my home studio, I will record. I mean, I'll hit record. Then I'll go into my booth, perform, and then I'll come out of my booth and I'll hit stop.
And you're not still using reel-to-reel, right?
No.
Smarty
What do
pants.
you record on?
Actually, I record on Adobe Audition on an iMac,
Okay.
Okay.
and with a Neumann mic in my booth.
Beautiful.
And I just again keep it really, really simple.
Yeah.
Really, really simple.
Okay, so Mark, you have compiled a list for us, for the viewers, of the 8 fundamental skills every voice actor must have.
Yeah.
That's
These are
awesome.
important.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that my report card was literally born out of my daily work on a daily basis. After I thought about it for a while, I was just trying to think of what are the skills that every great voice actor brings. And I was working with some of the top voice actors in the world.
Yeah.
People who were represented by the top agencies in LA, from New York, whatever the case may be. But again, working with really amazing talent. And when I thought about it, I realized there were 8 specific skills that every single great voice actor had. Now, there were many other skills or subsets of those skills, but the 8 major ones were right in front of me every single day. And I realized that I was unconsciously grading these actors on those skills.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay.
So
So-
that's how the report card thing came
That's how the
Yeah.
report card came about. And the overwhelming majority of these people, men and women both, had virtually all these skills. Well, they had all of them, just varying degrees of proficiency is
Okay.
really what it came down
Okay.
to. And
Oh, good. I'm
Very
excited.
cool. Now
Okay.
would be a good time to grab something to write with.
Yes. Your
And
iPad.
something to write on.
Yes.
Or something to type on.
Okay.
yes.
Take us there.
Okay. So the first and the most fundamental skill is breathing. And people say, well, duh, breathing. Of course you got to breathe.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when we get behind the microphone, all of a sudden we start breathing differently for a number of reasons. Number 1, because we might be nervous. Number 2, because we've got to say a mouthful in a very short amount of time. Number 3, because we may have an audience of more than just the engineer, like the client is right there on the other side of the glass,
Yep.
so you're performing for them. And number 4, if you're not prepared, then you are going to be a little bit more nervous there as well. So, of course, I never know how much preparation an actor does before they come in. So that's why I hear varying degrees. But one of the other things, I'm trying to remember who it was, and I think it was Elaine Clark, who's a wonderful teacher up in San Francisco. She said that the reason that we run out of breath when we're doing voiceover is because the words aren't ours. They're somebody else's words. When we're speaking our own words, when we're talking, we know just how much breath we need to get to the end of a phrase, just like I did just now.
Right.
And also, I'm not on script. I'm not talking to you. I don't have these words that I'm saying right now on the page.
Right.
But even if I did, it would be better because they would be my words.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't run out of breath.
Yeah.
But when you're reading somebody else's words, you don't.
Yes.
Where do I
yes.
stop? Where do I
Exactly.
pause?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing is breathing, people realize very, very quickly after they record and then they listen back to themselves that they're not breathing like they normally breathe. So that takes a while. It takes some practice to understand phrasing and breathing and all sorts of things. Besides just the breath.
Yeah.
Again, everything talking on the breath. You also have pitch. You also have volume control. You also have projection, how much you're projecting, how much energy you've got. There are so many other things going on than just breathing.
Yeah.
The one thing that other people don't realize is that, for the most part, voice actors breathe in through their mouth and out through their mouth, not in through the nose and out through the mouth. in through the mouth. So that basically their mouth is open virtually the entire time. And they realize that too, because what happens is they get, well, we're used to closing our mouths after, we're not going to open our mouths all the time. Close your mouth. Your parents always say, close your mouth.
Gonna catch flies.
Exactly. But the thing is, they close their mouths, and then when they open them up, you hear smacking and all sorts of things like that. So it takes a while to learn how to breathe properly. Here's the thing. I could go on talking to you for days and not take a big breath in between any of my sentences.
Right.
I'm not doing any big breaths at all.
Right.
And yet I continue to talk.
Yeah.
And talk and talk and talk.
Right.
By the way, I just heard about a new 12-step program.
Breathers Anonymous?
Well, it's a 12-step program for people who talk incessantly.
Really?
Yeah, it's called On and On and On.
On and on and on.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Rim shot, please.
That's
Come on.
good.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
see,
you very
Mark's
much.
stand-up is going to be this weekend.
Yeah. At the Comedy
That's
Club.
funny.
That's it.
So what is maybe something simple that somebody, like, they can, a little quick checklist, so that when they're in the booth, they can say, okay, breathing. To just get them into that breathing right mode.
Really what it comes down to is preparation. When they get into the booth, they should know that script absolutely inside and out. Because the more familiar you are with the script, the less nervous you're going to be, and the easier it's going to be for you to breathe.
Absolutely.
Plus, if you've rehearsed that script, you've already marked your copy and determined where you're going to take your breaths. So you've, in essence, choreographed your copy. You've arranged your copy musically. You've decided where you're going to take your breaths, where you're going to breathe. You've timed yourself. This is a choreographed thing. It's interesting. People will watch an actor on screen and they'll say, wow, that actor became the character. That actor just went inside that character. He's so believable. He's so spontaneous. That must have just come right off the top of his head. That must have been his own words. No, it was a writer's words. The actor memorized those words and memorized them and rehearsed them and rehearsed them and rehearsed them to the point where his rehearsal seemed spontaneous, or her rehearsal, or her performance seems spontaneous, but it was studied. It was rehearsed.
And most likely directed.
And most likely directed.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, you will be less nervous and you'll be able to breathe better once you rehearse and prepare and rehearse and prepare.
There you go.
Is really what it comes
The
down
better
to.
rehearsed, the better prepared you are, the better you're going to breathe, and you're not going to pass out in the booth.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this way you can make some cash.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's
Cool.
give us another one.
All right. The second one is timing.
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 And you know about timing.
I love timing.
You know,
Timing is
you know
good.
what are they? What's the one? That's basically the main thing in comedy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
In
Timing.
fact, ask me what's the number one rule of comedy?
Timing.
No, you have to ask me.
I have to ask
That's
you.
right. You have to.
What's the number?
Timing. Exactly.
And I laugh.
Yes, because it's an old joke,
Because
and
it's
you're
funny.
right.
Exactly.
It's still old.
You got me. But even in music, what's the most important thing in music?
Timing.
Timing.
Exactly.
Yes.
There you
Absolutely. So timing. It's timing. It's reading to time. If you see it says 30, you're going to get it in 30 or 45 or 60 or whatever the case may be. You're going to read to time. So timing is really, really important. Pacing. How fast or slow you're going. Because sometimes we speak very, very quickly, and then sometimes we slow down. So our pacing can ebb and flow depending upon the copy.
Yeah.
So timing, reading to time, pacing, picking up cues. If you're doing a dialogue, if somebody's talking to you, you got to answer them, okay?
Yeah.
You can't be just out in the ozone somewhere.
Yeah.
So your timing in terms of back and forth, like a ping pong game, very, very important.
Very
timing
important.
there too. And of course, understanding cadence. As I said, there's an ebb and flow of conversationality that we normally have. We don't even realize it. But as I said, sometimes we speak very, very quickly because we're really excited, and other times we slow down to make a point. And the thing is that that's how we speak. That's how we talk. There's a tendency in copy, in voice acting, for when you see the words on the page to just keep going straight like a freight train.
Yeah.
And not think about how we normally speak in that conversational manner. And that, again, that ebb and flow. Sometimes we stutter, sometimes we stammer, sometimes we stop and grope for a word. A lot of people are afraid of silence. They're really afraid of actual silence. Advertisers are very afraid of silence.
That's expensive silence.
So you have to be judicious with your silence. But the thing is actors understand the power of silence.
Absolutely.
Good actors really, really understand it. And that comes in timing as well.
Yeah.
In fact, a colleague, Jan Rapson, I don't know if Jan's going to watch this, but he told me a great story. He won an audition, and the clients said, Jan, we loved what you did, and we especially loved your pauses.
Nice.
Your pauses.
Your pauses.
You loved his pauses, where he said nothing. Okay?
That's hardcore
what does that
voice
tell you?
acting,
Who would
people.
have thunk it?
What does that tell you?
Yeah.
Timing. It's
Timing.
really,
Timing.
really important. So, number 3, the third skill, really fundamental skill that you've got to have is what I call eye, brain, mouth coordination. That loop where the
Okay.
words go in through your eyes, rummage around through your brain, and go out through your mouth. That coordination has got to be solid. If you've got some wires crossed, if you are, let's say, dyslexic, or possibly, you only have the use of one eye or something like that, but it's more dyslexia, you are not going to be able, that loop, that eye-brain-mouth coordination is not going to be able to work for you. So lifting words off the page effortlessly, not stumbling, that's not going to happen if you have dyslexia. You're always going to be stumbling, and voiceover may not be for you unless you can overcome that thing. However, if you've got great eye-brain-mouth coordination, and you can look at copy on a page and read it cold, effortlessly, and not stumble, you've got a job in voiceover, or at least you've got something in voiceover.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
Something,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Eye-brain-mouth coordination. So that's reading the script, that's not omitting words that are there, not adding words that aren't, not changing words or phrases out of whole cloth as you're looking at them. Your cold reading agility. It's not just ability, it's your agility. Cold reading.
Yeah.
That's, again, getting those words off the page.
Well, because many times you don't get the script
Absolutely.
very far in advance.
Absolutely.
So you've got to get it done.
And that's basically it. Just that loop. That's got to be really, really strong.
Yeah.
You've worked with hundreds and hundreds,
Thousands.
thousands of
Millions.
voice actors. Seriously.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you could see the ones who just did this effortlessly.
Absolutely.
They made it look and sound so easy.
Yeah.
And others who struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is that with practice, you can get over that struggle.
Yep.
You can make that struggle history
Yeah.
the more you practice.
The more you practice.
Just cold reading, practicing cold reading every day is it's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
It's like exercising. You're building up your muscle, this coordination here. You're strengthening that muscle. The more you practice, the easier it's going to get.
Yeah, you can pick up any book, any magazine, and
Absolutely.
just start talking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And many times, well, at least in the old days, we would be in the booth, we'd do a spot, and the producer would say, "Oh, we just got this. Here, can you do it?" Never laid eyes on it.
Right.
But we're right there. The clock's running. We got to get it done. And again,
Yeah.
practicing, cold reading every day, workout groups once a week.
Yeah.
That is going to
For
keep your
6 years.
chops.
For 6 years.
That's right, for 6
That
years.
will definitely keep your chops up.
And keep your
Minimum
chops
6
up.
years, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's
But no, the working out like at a gym, it's a great analogy
Yeah.
because it really is the same thing.
yeah. It's a strengthening thing, and that's basically the stronger you are, the more control you have. And actors don't have much control because everybody's telling them what to do. Do this, do that, go here, do that, say this, And so we're actors. We say, okay, sure, we'll do that. That we're actors. Okay. But the thing is, by strengthening these skills, you have more control when you're performing. That's the key. Ultimately, the director has to stop and say, okay, let him go and let him do his thing, or let her do her thing. that's where you have control. That's where you take up the reins. That's where you got the power. That's what makes everybody say, wow, wow, what a performance. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's when you get hired again.
That's right.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You get hired again. That's what everybody wants, is repeat work.
Heck
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, I love it.
I'll drink to that, Marc Cashman.
You know what? We'll all drink to that.
Come on.
Cheers.
Thank
We love repeat business.
Repeat business.
That's it.
All right.
Was that number 3 or
This
That
number
was number
4?
3.
Yes, we got 4.
Oh, okay. So we got one more. Now
Yeah.
these are so valuable. They, and I love the way that you're explaining them, because if you actually listen to what Mark's saying and actually work this stuff out, you will, without a doubt, perform at a much higher level.
You will.
Yeah.
You will. And here's the thing, the main reason that I came up with these skill sets is because people who are entering the business, who are entering the industry, what they call newbies, they say, well, how could I possibly compete against people who've been doing this 10, 20, 30 years? And I explain to them, well, you can't possibly compete experientially. You don't have the years that they have.
Right.
So how are you going to compete? On the field of battle, how do you kind of level the playing field a little bit? You make sure that your skills are sharp. You make sure that your chops are great. Why? Because the people who've been doing this 10, 20, 30 years, and many of them, a little lazy.
Right.
Just a little lazy.
Yeah.
They've been doing it. They're okay. They go along, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I'll do this. I'll go in. And they're and so the thing is the newbies, they're hungry.
Yeah.
They're hungry. They want to prove themselves. So what do? The only way that they're going to be able to go out into the arena and face another gladiator is by being armed. By being armed with the weapons that are going to make you victorious. Those weapons are skills. That's what they are.
Yeah.
So if you want to, if you want to bat somebody in the head, you've got to have a club.
Oh, okay.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But again, it's knowing what you're doing. So many times I remember when I still do. Sometimes I would pair a veteran actor with somebody who was fairly new. And they initially were a little bit nervous, but they maintained. They did it. And again, you have skills, you're solid in your skills, you'll be able to work with the veterans and they'll respect you. They really will.
Yeah.
They will.
You jump in the deep end and you start to swim.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or somebody will jump in and try and save you.
That's right.
Or
That's
you're
right.
gonna sink.
Or somebody's going to push you in and hope that you can swim.
That you didn't have your water wings on. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Brilliant.
So that was number. So
That was number
eye,
4.
brain, mouth.
That was
Eye, brain,
number 5.
mouth is number 3. Number 4 is articulation.
Yes.
You could call it articulation, enunciation, pronunciation, whatever you want to call it, but it's the ability to speak clearly, but find what I call the Goldilocks zone. Not too much, not too little. Not too over, not too under. The moment we over-articulate,
It's not
we're
real.
not believable.
We
Yeah.
lose the real, yeah.
The moment we under-articulate, I say we either sound stupid
You're the gold bond lady.
or lazy or both,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. We don't care enough.
We don't care enough. That's
Yeah.
right. We're just mumbling.
Yeah.
What was I saw? It was a great voice talent who had the word mumbling, circle and a slash. That was his logo.
No,
no mumbling. No mumbling. That's great. I love
Yeah.
that.
That's
It's
brilliant.
terrific. So articulation. That's pronouncing and articulating words clearly and cleanly. Again, not overdoing it, not underdoing it. What else? No swallowing, no dropping off, no fading, no popping, no mouth noise is very, very important. You know, we're drinking water now, but you know, when you go into the booth, you're drinking a whole case of Arrowhead. You know,
Yeah.
by the time you're done,
Yeah.
because you're constantly hydrating, and
Sure.
and the microphones are so sensitive.
They pick up.
They know what you had for breakfast this
Oh, yeah.
morning.
Oh, yeah.
So you really, really have to be clean, and again, articulating takes a lot of work
Yeah.
to make it sound effortless. Again,
Yeah.
'cause they do that. That's the one amazing thing about audiobooks is you're not doing a 30-second or a 60-second spot. You are speaking tens of thousands of words over hours and hours. So your articulation has got to be very, very steady all the way through.
Yeah.
And but it takes a while. But articulation is so important.
It is. And just to back Mark up on this, or to give you guys a little bit, I've seen people that were not very good at all of these things that Mark is talking about, and they have actually practiced them through the years, and today you would never in a million years know that they ever had a problem with any of them because they're so sharp.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So it can. This can be accomplished.
It can be,
This
and
is a
Chuck
real thing.
and Chuck is a commercial producer in his own right. I mean, he's known for demos that rock, but at the same time, he's produced and directed thousands of radio commercials and voiceover for TV, and so he knows what he's talking about. Yeah.
I try to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yes. You're trying.
Mark talks about me way better than I talk about myself.
No,
You're very trying.
I've recorded commercials you've directed on. He's tried.
This is
You
true.
do know what
This
you're
is
doing.
He does know what he's talking
does.
about.
Knowledge is power. And that's what they just got from Marc Cashman, right?
Yes,
Be sure and tune in next week for part 2. It's going to be awesome.
it is. And just remember to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest at VO Buzz Weekly. You guys take care out there, and just remember,
You always have time for a little buzz.